What if Mary wasn't a virgin at all? And made up the story of being impregnated by God just to hide the fact she cheated? Oh yes. For sure. It's how I remember the sequence of the planets in our solar system. Mary's virgin explanation made Joseph suspect upstairs neighbor. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. It doesn't matter because the real miracle was Jesus having 12 friends at 30 years old. Well, we know from Jewish customs of the time that engaged couples spent a lot of time with each other. And would test drive the living together thing to make sure the marriage would work. Now what gets even more interesting is that the verbiage in the Greek manuscripts doesn't inherently imply virgin. It implies a young maid, girl. Factor in the fact that the manger, slaughtering of Bethlehem's children and many other elements are not in Mark, the oldest gospel, yet are present in Luke, which was a later gospel. I think it's within reason to imply that the birth of Jesus was something of an afterthought amongst early Christians. What's more, is that Islam largely inherited its Jewish and Christian tales from local variants. And the Jesus story is very different. It's basically a repeat of Hagar's story after being exiled with Ishmael. Except that, like the other repeats in the Bible, Genesis chapter 20 and Judges chapter 20, for example, the story is added on with Mary facing the Pharisees. By herself, Joseph is completely out of the picture. For adultery, only for the fetus Jesus to pop out of her body. Chew the Pharisees out. Affirm the Immaculate Conception and then crawl back up into Mary. To bake some more. What this suggests to me is that the birth of Jesus wasn't something super important to early Christians. There were elements more important. And the matter didn't come up until the Romans and church leadership found value in cooping pagan holidays, like Saturnalia, the winter solstice, to gain followers. Parthenogenesis, virgin birth, is a common trope across many different cultures and religions, including the Buddha. The Parthenon in Athens is devoted to Athena's virginity, both her birth and own status. It's entirely possible the entire concept of Virgin Mary didn't come along until after she died. I'll take. Redditor discovers a thought literally everyone has had. For 200 please, Alex. Nothing would change. People are going to believe what they want to believe. She was like 13. More likely someone just raped her and the family made up a story about Immaculate Conception. Christianity. A cover-up for an affair that's gotten way out of hand. So, this is one of those theories that keeps coming up, with various answers as to what actually was being hidden. The one thing they have in common though, is the idea that Mary actually ever claimed to have had a virgin birth. That's not what the evidence actually suggests. Though, the story does feature in the Gospels of Matthew and Luke, and those were emphasized especially in early Christianity, because of the implications for the debate about Christ's divinity and humanity. But neither the Gospel of Mark, nor the Gospel of John, or even the Pauline epistles mention anything of the sort. John straight up asserts Joseph to be the father of Jesus twice. And they make a bit of a thing of Jesus being related to King David through Joseph. In this context, it's important that John and Mark were written substantially earlier than Luke and Matthew, which makes it substantially more likely they're incorporating Greek and Roman tropes of miraculous births, than that they had some information on Jesus's birth that John and Matthew didn't have. Now, if you read the Bible as the infallible Word of God with no possibilities of contradiction, then it's easier to dismiss John's claims about Joseph than Matthew and Mark's claims about Mary. So the virgin birth becomes dogma. But if you see the Bible as a historical text that relies heavily on an oral tradition, before being written down more or less definitively by various people at various times, then it becomes wildly unlikely that the claim of virgin birth originated during the times of Jesus and Mary themselves. Or what if none of it ever even happened and it's just a story plagiarized from dozens of other mythologies, religions and cultures by somebody who wasn't there in an attempt to amalgamate a vast, broken and spiritually divided empire? The first Gospel, Mark, wasn't written till 35 years after Jesus's death. Who knows if Mary ever claimed anything? I mean, that's probably exactly what happened. What if all of the Bible is a lie? I mean, according to the Bible, a man and his sons built a boat that was big enough to hold a male and female of every single animal on the planet. Let's dig a little deeper into that. Not only did they supposedly build this enormous boat, but they also harvested all of the materials necessary to build it as well. These people lived in the desert. They lived in adobe homes, yet somehow managed to cut down and process all of the wood necessary to build this big-ass boat. 5 guys. And if that's really not enough food for thought, our hero then went on to round up a male and female of every single animal in the entire world. I have a challenge for you. Why don't you go round up a male and female animal of one wild species and get 'em to hop in your car? Let me know how that goes.